Good afternoon and welcome to this AQuA online event, co-organized by CLAIRE and INRIA. My name is Elizabeth El-Haddad and I am the co-manager of the CLAIRE Paris office, as well as European Project Officer at INRIA. For those of you who may be joining on AQuA for the first time, let me please first give you a brief introduction to what it is. The CLAIRE AQuA, or All Questions Answered, is inspired by Turing Award winner Donald E. Knuth's All Questions Answered lecture. CLAIRE AQuA events are relaxed, 1 hour, sometimes less, fully online events that bring together a small group of panelists to discuss current hot topics in AI and answer questions from you, the community. So today, our AQuA session will focus on AI and cybersecurity, both the AI of cybersecurity as well as cybersecurity for AI. These are hot topics both on the European landscape as well as worldwide, and about which we hope you might have some pending questions to ask our expert panelists. Please note that this session is recorded. Take the time now as you begin to include your name and affiliation in your Zoom handle so we'll be able to track the questions. And now I am very pleased to introduce to you and also hand off this AQuA session to our moderator for today, Anna Isabel Ayerbe Fernandes Cuesta, the Director of Digital Chorus at Tecnalia, as well as the President of RENIC. Anna, welcome.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, and good afternoon. I am joined today by 4 speakers working in different areas related to cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, like Roberto Cascella, Marek Pawlicki, Theodoros, Semerztidis, and Nizar Touleimat. Thank you for joining us today. This is how the AQuA will work. We have 4 experts here who are ready to answer your questions. We have a live questions and answer tool on Zoom, as well as on the YouTube channel platform. Please drop off your questions using these tools, and we will try to answer as many as possible of them. Now, before we get started, I would like to ask our panelists to please introduce themselves.
Good afternoon,
Please, Roberto.
Anna. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Roberto Cascella, working for the European Cybersecurity Organization, and there I'm mainly supporting 2 working groups linked to trusted supply chain and then cybersecurity technologies. So good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Theodoros, please can you introduce a bit yourself?
Thank you very much. So I'm Theodoros Semerztidis. I'm a research fellow for the Center of Research and Technology, Hellas. My research goals and research vision in the research center is work on computer vision, AI and machine learning, multimedia, big data, and cybersecurity for AI, robust explainable AI, and so on. And I'm currently working as a project manager in the research in Kinetics project, which is a cybersecurity project, Atlantis project, with critical infrastructure protection and other related AI projects. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Theodoros. Nizar, please can you introduce yourself?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me for this event. So I'm Nizar Touleimat. I'm in charge of European affairs for the application of smart digital systems to security and defense within the LIST Institute of CEA, the French Commission for Alternative and Atomic Energy. And I'm the coordinator of the Starlight projects, which aims to develop AI-based solutions for law enforcement agencies in Europe, but also developing the cybersecurity approach to protect these solutions and the infrastructures that will host them.
Thank you, Nizar. And finally, Marek, please can you introduce yourself?
Hello. So my name is Marek Pawlicki, and I have the pleasure to represent ITTI today. ITTI is a software house based in Poland. I am also an associate professor at the Bydgoszcz University of Science and Technology. Both institutions have a strong track record in both artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Together with Professor Michał Choraś and Professor Rafał Kozik, We worked on numerous EU-funded projects where we applied AI in many domains, including cybersecurity. So project flags like Horizon 2020, CMARGL, Uprise, Prevision, EnsureSec, Elegant. We also led the SAFER program of the Horizon 2020 Sparta, which had a very strong focus on security and explainability of AI. Currently, we are involved in the Starlight project. We handle the application of AI in cyber and the trustworthiness of AI, but also the Horizon AI for Cyber project, where we handle AI explainability.
Thank you, Marek, and thank you very much, all of you, for these introductions. I think that we have today a very complementary group of experts in cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. And just now, I want just to remind everyone that is streaming how this AQuA session. This AQuA session is aimed to be interactive with you. You are our audience, and we are willing the experts are willing to answer your questions. So please join the discussion and post your questions directly into the live chat on YouTube or on Zoom. And we will try to keep the format very sweet and to have no more than 2 minutes per answer. And now I think that we can go to our first question. But I think I am going to open the question and answer session with one question for you, for Theodoros, related with, are you aware of cyber attacks that are being implemented through the use of artificial intelligence? Because we hear a lot about it, but are they really happening now, and what are their main characteristics?
Yeah, thank you very much, Anna, for this question. It's indeed very valid. So there are plenty of reports, as you said. We hear a lot of things on cyber attacks. Actually, cyber attacks now take advantage of AI availability. There are a lot of reports, for example, in Mitre Atlas, which is a knowledge base with adversary tactics and ML case studies and so on, either from studies or from real attacks. For example, situations where the camera is hijacked, the mobile camera is hijacked by synthetic videos from stolen images, or, for example, a journalist is able to unlock his bank account by faking his voice with a replica deepfake and so on. So the concept of all these is that now with the availability of AI and models, most of these models are not designed for robustness and not designed for the resilience of the different cyber attacks. But what I would like to stress, and we will discuss, I'm sure, later on in this discussion, is that ChatGPT and LLMs are dominating now the discussion. For example, we have a lot of examples with attackers creating code, creating cyber attacks without having much expertise, and this is a serious threat that is widening the attack surface and is scaling up the number of attacks from the potential attackers. For example, there was a Reddit post from a hacker named USDOD that was able to create a ransomware script from scratch without any technical knowledge and background. So this, I think, the most crucial part. So beyond the expert attackers, let's say, we're having some novices on. Okay.
Yes, this is a real challenge. Not experienced people being able to perform cyber attacks using ChatGPT. So what do you consider are the main applications of artificial intelligence for cybersecurity? Perhaps Nizar?
Yeah, thank you, Anna. So traditionally, most of the cybersecurity companies rely on event detection. However, this approach is non-trivial and they have to deal with a lot of false expertise. So where AI could help, it's with the complementary approach where we can select the relevant information from various sources and present them to the analyst in a smart way. Also, to contextualize the information we will present to the analyst. AI can also be used to perform penetration tests and automate testing the systems looking for eventual breaches. So these are two, let's say, examples of how currently AI could be used for improving cybersecurity.
Thank you, Nizar. Marek, what do you think are the main applications of AI for cybersecurity?
Yeah, so, like Nizar said, the most obvious one is the use in detection. So you can pick some classification algorithms, collect some training data, and very quickly, very efficiently have a very well performing classifier that can be used, for example, in network intrusion detection with some knowledge, of course. However, there are some. First of all, you need to remember that cybersecurity is huge. It's a very big subject. So in each facet of cybersecurity, there are different ways where we can employ AI. So apart from detection, there are, and we even do this in Starlight, there are attempts at using automation, using AI for automation of responses to detected threats. So we're trying to leverage the community knowledge about the threats and try to streamline the pipeline from the detection all the way to the response and mitigation.
Thank you. Theodoros, what is your opinion about the main applications?
I'm totally supporting what the panelists just said, and I would like just to let's say, to add upon that. I'm expecting to see, and I'm already seeing, of course, automation, but also automation in suggesting improvements or automation in correcting issues. So expecting AI system to be more resilient, improving the resilience of the system by correcting input, by identifying and modifying input for the system so that to avoid a possible attack. So automation will be a key on this game. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a new point in this discussion. Roberto, what is your point of view about the potential applications of AI for cyber?
Thank you, Anna. I think that, as has also been highlighted, by Nizar, Marek, and Theodoros, so there is plenty of application of AI. I think that it can be just limited by imagination, starting from decision support systems and then also moving into analyzing data and then take out, of course, decisions and then helping the humans. So already they mentioned, different type of applications. So it can be used also for defensive against denial of service, but also for maybe analysis of vulnerabilities and so on. I think that what is interesting, it's also what has been mentioned, before, and the fact that AI can be a new tool, can be used by cybersecurity experts. So to be integrated into their systems, but also by non-cybersecurity experts. And then here we need to talk more about different kind of, I would say, non-savvy cybersecurity companies. They are just the end users that might use, specific, let's say, tools as a security as a service that can be built also on AI aspect. I think that it just, that we have really different type of application, that could span, also from network analysis and then to also helping, developing software in a secure way. for instance. So it's very, very diverse type of approach that we can have for AI.
Yes, thank you, Roberto. Let's have a look at any other questions. Okay, yes. This is related with the explainability of artificial intelligence. We have been talking about the artificial intelligence somehow like black boxes, and with everything related with ethics and so on. The explainability of artificial intelligence seems to be like a hot topic, and perhaps we are having some cybersecurity engineers are a bit reluctant about the difficulties, or not knowing exactly what has been, why they have obtained some results. So, Marek, do you think the explainability of artificial intelligence could leverage the adoption of artificial intelligence by the cybersecurity engineers?
The short answer is yes, of course. The long one would be, well, I think explainability is crucial for the adoption of AI, not only in cybersecurity, the adoption of AI overall. So currently, let's say in the detection scenario, if we have a real life business application and the cybersecurity expert chooses to block a user because the AI system told him that this user is currently performing an attack. If the business owner asks the question, why did you block this user? The only way the person can go about explaining it is just drop on the business owner a feature set of, let's say, 70 numbers and say, those numbers tell me that this is an anomaly and that's why I blocked him. So in a business setting, this wouldn't fly. So we need explainability to be able to say what is actually happening in the black box. Why do we think that? What went into the detection? What went into the decision process? But there are also other aspects of explainability that actually having explainability handles. So now we have the regulatory compliance. We have this new AI Act that forces the users of AI to have some sort of explainability to be able to explain the decision-making process of AI if the user asks for it. And then there's one more aspect of having explainability of AI is that being able to tell how the inputs translate into the outputs can be helpful in debugging when creating the AI models. So, for example, there's this very known example in explainability research where we have a classification system which tells if a picture is a dog or a wolf. And in this example, the convolutional neural network learned looked at the background, and if there was snow in the background, then it decided it was a wolf, and if there wasn't, if it was in the room, then it was a dog. So this is of course a toy example, but it showcases that sometimes the features that the AI chooses to base the decision on are not immediately apparent or are not obvious. Sometimes they are very naive, let's say. But we need to have a handle on what actually happens when the AI makes a decision.
Thank you, Marek. We have a question from the public. Cybersecurity becomes very complex, difficult to grasp for novice users. What can we do to render the threats more accessible and educate people to assess technology in an appropriate way? Well, who wants to answer the question?
I think maybe I can try, Anna. So, because also it's important here is about the skills. So there is important also at European level, to develop the right skills. I think that it's a super interesting, question, because here we need to talk about new technology that most of the time it's complex, to grasp also for professionals, the way that it needs to be used and then need to be adopted. And then, of course, for novice user, it could be even more challenging, to understand, what could be the threats. Definitely, I mean, there could be some specific, guidelines or examples that can be provided to help users. Then it depends also on the target. For instance, also in AQuA, we have different kind of initiatives in general for cybersecurity, starting from the youth, for instance, that were also with the child. So that could be also different kind of technique, even like gaming, just to explaining a little bit the threats, to move a little bit, to the different level of awareness when we go to the general public, but also to the C-level. So I think that there needs to be designed proper campaigns, like about cybersecurity awareness in this case. The first point, it will be to understand what will be the threats and the challenges. So here we can talk about threats to the privacy, for instance, based on the data that we give, also, or other aspects, that could be mined, like linked to the different people. Then there is also another aspects with respect to the professional. So a misuse of technology. What could be the implication also for the organizations, and then so that we can span also to different level of examples that can be provided in this case. But of course, training it's an important aspect, so that it needs to follow also the awareness. So raising awareness first, and then training also for professionals to use AI, and then in the right context also for cybersecurity.
Roberto, and do you think we could improve people awareness and training about cybersecurity issues using artificial intelligence?
That's a fantastic case. That's a fantastic case. For instance, like in cybersecurity, we have training with cyber range, so that so we might have some kind of cyber range, designed with the help, for instance, of an AI. So this could be a case. Or also AI maybe understanding a little bit also the indeed what could be the most challenging situations and threats, and then communicate also to the people. For instance, I was listening to some podcasts that, for instance, AI might be, or like ChatGPT, could be used also to find the right means for communication also to the humans. So this could be just a simple application, for explaining a little bit, the problems and the threats with a language, or maybe, where AI can contribute, with respect to that. So I think that is an interesting perspective, and then I think that it's something that we can definitely look at. Yeah.
We need to explore new ways of training people. Yes, thank you. Nizar, how do you think that the recent advances in artificial intelligence will change the field of cybersecurity? Previously, we have talked about ChatGPT, and how do you think? Because of course, apart from ChatGPT, there are a lot of other types of models, algorithms that can be used. So what is your opinion?
So here we can distinguish two situations. I mean, the point of view of, let's say, the threats, how AI is changing also the way, what kind of new threats we have to deal with, and also how AI could help us to fight against these new threats. So I will talk again about ChatGPT because, and maybe not only, I mean, about generative AI, because we already mentioned it, but the use of generative AI has multiplied attacks possibilities, and the existence of these approaches, I think, is a real opportunity for malicious people currently. For example, a tool like ChatGPT can generate hyper-efficient and hyper-targeted phishing with high-volume attacks and with emails very similar to real emails. And also, you can combine different tools. If you combine this kind of generative AI with, for example, voices generators, you can mimic a real person. And I don't know how, in France, you call that escroquerie au président, president scams or something like that, where you mimic, I mean, someone important asking another person to do something, for example, transfer money, etc. So with combining this kind of tools, I mean, AI for voice generation, AI for text and speech generation, you can, I mean, create very, very convincing scams and new kind of threats. In terms of protection, I think we already mentioned that earlier, but we're moving towards more automation of cybersecurity. And I think also it's a way of helping people who are not experts to handle tools and to be able to protect also their systems. Currently, experts are still involved in monitoring and detecting attacks with some assistance and with some automation of processes. However, we will certainly see in the future far more processes automated on the use of AI-based solutions. And also to apply AI to cybersecurity, we need large amount of data. And there's what we call, for example, the honeypot approach, which makes it possible to generate realistic data we can learn from. So mainly the approach is to lead attackers to controlled spaces where we can let them do a lot of attacks and observe these attacks and learn from these attacks how we can better protect our system. So a way of generating not artificial data, but with these control attacks, generate very realistic, let's say, data we can learn from.
Thank you, Nizar. We have another question from the audience. Artificial intelligence, and in particular, the latest breakthrough in large language models introduce new digital challenges that we may not fully understand yet. Okay, not to private you from your well-deserved sleep, but what keeps you more awake at night? Classical cybersecurity threats or artificial intelligence ones? Well, I think this is something that I think that most all of you can answer, sure. Theodoros?
I think the novel, let's say, the novel attacks are much more complicated. They are much more, let's say, evolving over time, better adopted to the tools and the defenses that are out there. So I think that these are the most, let's say, we have to somehow do at least the tradition, do all the traditional protective mechanisms, and then go and go deep in the AI attacks we have to address, because things will evolve and we have to be up to date on that. So this is what we have to focus on.
Marek, what do you think? What is your feeling about this?
So, for the emergence of, let's say, the large language models, I have to say I feel pretty secure. I think it's obvious that the lay of the land of everything we've done so far is going to change pretty dramatically very soon. But also I think that you can see that even things like GPT-4, which have some properties, we're still pretty far from a general intelligence, artificial intelligence, which would be, let's say, a threat to humanity. So I would still focus more on cybersecurity.
Oh, okay, thank you. Roberto, what do you think? What worries you more?
Well, I think that, classical cybersecurity threats are going to be there. So AI has been also mentioned before, is going to speed up a little bit, the rate of attacks, and then the possibility to generate I would say, also to democratize, the possibility to develop an attack. So you have like also people, that they're not the right skills. So it's been mentioned before, that it's possible to code, for instance, a ransomware, with generative AI, for people that have no clue about that. So definitely the rate of attacks will increase. I mean, that's one consideration to have in mind. And then, of course, I mean, it's a new technology, so we need to consider, what could be all the threats, to apply a new technology. So, of course, the first thing it will be to have a proper understanding of the classical cybersecurity threats, so that we need to start, from that perspective, and then it's going to be the key part. And then, considering that AI might increase, the rate of attacks, or maybe the possibility to exploit some vulnerabilities that maybe were not considered before. But it's also linked more to the speed, for me, of the way that the rate at which an attack could be created and defined.
Thank you, Roberto. And Nisa, what's your point?
So I will use a third notion. It's about quantum computing. I'm kind of, how to say, very, very curious, but also very afraid about how AI and quantum computing, when associated, could also be used to develop new kind of cyber attacks. So it's more a matter of an issue I would like to raise, or questions to launch, because I don't know if we, for the moment, have any answer for that, but that's one of my main fear and concern.
Nizar, and here there is another question for you related to the something that you have commented previously. As cyber attacks are becoming more automized, are we going towards sci-fi scenarios where artificial intelligence will be attacking each other?
Hey, I like this question. Let's write a book, a novel, a science fiction novel about that. What comes into my mind, I think it's. I think we will see adversarial attacks led by one AI against another one. I think it's a very realistic scenario. I don't have, for the moment, to my knowledge, seen that reported, but maybe it's already happening. But I think that it's very probable we will have adversarial attacks led by an AI against another one.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have another question from the public. Is it possible to detect cyber attacks before they happen, maybe using artificial intelligence? Perhaps Theodoros or Marek can answer this question.
So if I may, I can start. Depends. Of course, we can forecast. Possible probable attacks, and we have to be aware of attacks that might be coming in the future. But no, realistically, we cannot totally identify upcoming attacks. What we have to be careful on here is also how we're going to do this forecasting, what kind of data we're going to use. I mean, also the profiling of users and data that we're going to use, all the ethical concerns that we have to apply in order to have it. So it's a very, let's say, tricky question and tricky, let's say, handling of this situation. So everything is open here.
We will see the advances. Yes, please, Marek.
I'd like to build on what Theodoros said. So just to maybe clarify the question, you need to consider what do you understand by stopping attack before it happens, because usually an attack unfolds in certain ways. We have a trio of attack, and there are certain steps that happen before the major damage is done. So, for example, if you can pick if you can detect early reconnaissance, then there is Technically, this wouldn't be stopping attack before it happened because it's actually happening, but this is stopping the attack before the major damage happens. So both yes and no.
Thank you. We have another question. Artificial intelligence researchers and cybersecurity researchers are traditionally separate communities. Do you see a need to develop synergies between them? And if so, do you foresee cultural challenge to overcome? Who wants to answer this question? Yes,
I maybe can start. I have a very good example. For example, the Starlight project I'm coordinating. It's an AI-based project, but there is a very important work package within it about cybersecurity. So let's say it's mainly an AI community, but working with maybe smaller cybersecurity-related community, because we have to think about how we are going to protect the solutions we're going to work. So it's a way also to bringing people from different communities to work together. Because I'm coming more from the AI, let's say, community. And also, I'm discussing with a lot of colleagues more involved, I mean, in the research and development, coming also from the AI community, and they are finding in cybersecurity related topics new challenges they are very excited about. So they are going also towards cybersecurity because it poses new questions, issue, challenges they would like to try to solve too.
Thank you, Nizar. What are the next major technological advances that we can expect in the coming years in the application of artificial intelligence for cybersecurity? Marek, I think that Marek, Theodoros, and Nizar can answer this question.
So since I was first on the list, let me start. So definitely there are at least two things we have already touched on during this talk. The first one is the autonomous response mechanism. So I expect that that the amount of work that AI does will increase dramatically thanks to the automation that AI provides. Of course, everything that AI does, and this is something Nizar already mentioned, will be able to do more of that when you have more processing power, and with quantum technology somewhere on the horizon, this might speed up things significantly, very, very quickly. And also, I personally hope to see some foundation models emerge in the area of cybersecurity. So we've seen things like that in computer vision or in natural language processing, where we have a couple of very strong models which have very general capabilities, which can be then fine-tuned to specific tasks. And I hope that as we gather more cybersecurity data, as we have more computational power, we will see models like that emerging in cybersecurity as well.
Thank you. Theodoros, Nizar?
What I expect to see a lot is the coming and the availability of artificial general intelligence that is, let's say, we have a very, very small flavor of what's upcoming with ChatGPT. We expect general intelligence to be very powerful, very strong in creating novel knowledge and examples. And this will be a very powerful tool for the cyber attackers. But on the other hand, will be a very powerful tool as well in fighting cyber attacks and fighting and preventing attacks and so on. In combination with quantum that we have already discussed, this is something that's very important here. That in the quantum computing, there is an advantage. There will be no availability of quantum computers as it is right now. So the majority of quantum computers will be, at least initially, in big organizations, in governments and so on. So this might be an advantage for a few years, or let's say something. against cyber attacks and by advancing cybersecurity overall. And then finally, what I will say once again, automation. I'm expecting a lot of resilience work on the AI, self-healing AI, and things that will improve from the ground up on cybersecurity. Thanks.
Thank you. Nizar, what's your point?
First, I totally support what Theodoros just said about improving resilience of the systems. And because we know that there will always be flaws, so we have to think about self-healing systems and more resilient systems. I would like also, I think also that something we should expect, and we are currently working on also, it's to unite the cyber and physical world. For cybersecurity mainly deals with the digital, let's say, world, but physical and digital worlds are more intricately linked. For example, it has to be adapted to complex systems like AI-based command and control system. So for near future, I think cybersecurity will have to adapt to more complex systems, combining digital, physical, and human component. And for example, that's the kind of question we're trying to answer in the Kinetics European project, where Marek is also involved.
Thank you very much. Roberto, what's your feeling about the potential impact of quantum technologies on artificial intelligence and cybersecurity fields? Because here some of you have mentioned quantum. Roberto, what's your point in this?
But I think that Marek and Theodoros already covered that in the answer, in the sense that quantum will enable to have to increase the computation power, also the accuracy possibly of AI. So definitely, I mean, that's combining the two. It could be still like a powerful mechanism, so you can empower even further AI with to reach different type of higher computational levels. So this is one of case, for instance, on new technologies that could have a large impact, I think, on AI system in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. Here's another question. Cybersecurity, like artificial intelligence, is sort of a transversal technology that applies to many domains. Cybersecurity is the more mature in terms of societal threats from the two. Do you think there are lessons to learn from cybersecurity that can help addressing the challenge with AI? Who wants to answer this question? Please don't be shy. Thank you, Theodoros.
So if I understood well the question, we're discussing about the maturity of cybersecurity and how we can bring lessons to AI world for the societal aspects and the ethical and privacy aspects. And yes, I totally support that we have to, and we do have to work as me personally, mainly AI expert. We have to work a lot on these concerns. A lot of AI components and a lot of AI solutions that are out there have started working to deliver something innovative without taking into consideration let's say, the strict ethical privacy or security concerns that might appear in order to go out in the market very fast. And I think the most important thing that actually AI Act is now trying to let's say, somehow regulate is to find a proper way to deploy and to use AI technologies in order to respect all the different ethical, privacy, and societal aspects. So we have to do that in an integrated way. So to develop while respecting all these aspects. It's an ongoing work. It's not we don't have an answer yet how we can and we should do that.
We will see it. Okay, another question. When it comes to apps, I think we are our worst enemy. Do you agree that the majority of the threats stems from a culture of not practicing security and ethics in our technology? It's an interesting matter. Roberto, what's your point?
Sorry, Anna, can you repeat the question?
Yes, yes. When it comes to apps, I think we are our own worst enemy. Do you agree that the majority of the threats come from a culture of not practicing security and ethics in our technology? This is, I think, a matter of education using ethics in the technology related area.
Yeah, I think that, like I see, I mean, I might not have like a straight answer, to the question per se, in the sense that, yeah, of course, there are some, the issue most of the time, that we don't apply best practices. For instance, when we develop code, like in a secure way, or also, when we look at an AI system, the way that it's going to be designed, most of the time, cybersecurity is not taken in consideration, especially, during for the entire life cycle of the AI system, and then for all the different phases. There is then, I think, of course, there is the security part on one end, and then on the other side, there is, of course, the ethics aspects that we need to consider that is also linked to the application of the technology. So I think that personally, there are two directions, that we need to look at. There is on one end, designing and conceiving, a technology, and then also developing a system in a secure way, but also looking into the application itself, and then what could be also the issues that will come when we apply the technology. And then where the ethics part, it's for me, is going to be very relevant, especially because AI will has major impact also for our society, and then also for the citizen, and then so what we need to look at in a concrete way.
Thank you. And we have been asking questions more related with using artificial intelligence for cybersecurity, but we have the other part, the cybersecurity of artificial intelligence. So, Marek, are you aware of cyber attacks to artificial intelligence systems, and what are the main characteristics of these kind of attacks?
Naturally, Anna.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite subjects. So let's say in adversarial attacks, you have like 4 different flavors of attacks, even though there are multiple techniques among all those flavors, and there are still new ones popping up every day, every week. So immediately the one that comes to mind is evasion. So in evasion attacks, you add particular noise to a sample so that the detection or the AI algorithm thinks that it's a different sample. So to the actual example that is always very often used in literature is that you have a picture of a panda, you add adversarial noise. The noise is not perceptible for humans. For humans, this picture looks exactly the same. And then after feeding it through the detection system, the label is changed, so it's a dog or a gibbon. This isn't only in computer vision. This is true for all AI classifiers, for all AI algorithms. So, for example, in cybersecurity, you can add a particular type of noise to make an attack sample look like a benign sample. Then you have poisoning attacks. So poisoning attacks is attacking the classifier or the AI algorithm during the training phase. So you add certain patterns into the training set, so that when you test time, when you use this pattern, you can switch flip the label from the one that should be the one that you want. Then you have extraction attacks, and then you have inference attacks. So with extraction attacks, You can attack the classifier by probing it through, let's say, an open API, and then after probing it for a while with samples that look similar to a training distribution and gathering the responses of this classifier, you can a similarly behaving classifier for yourself. So you do not have to go through the trouble of training the classifier the way the original classifier was trained. So you steal the property, the intellectual property, and then you have inference attack. So you can by attacking the classifier or the AI algorithm, you can work out what was in the training data. So this again is an attack against privacy of the training data. So those will be the 4 major types.
Mm-hmm. And with these threats, Nizar, what do you think it means to make artificial intelligence more secure?
No, sorry, my mic was off. I think I will be very redundant with what Marek just said and explained. An AI systems rely, let's say, on 3 main properties for its security: confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the AI. Regarding confidentiality, it can be compromised for threats against the models and the training, but using approaches that help providing privacy-preserving AI services, we can handle that. About integrity, it can be compromised via adversarial attacks. We already talked a lot, I think, today about that, and Marek also presented ways of fighting against and taking into account these attacks by increasing the uncertainty and diversity of a model, for example, making it more resilient to adversarial perturbation. And finally, about the availability of an AI systems, as also Marek presented, it could be targeted via an API. So to counteract this kind of attacks, we can build, for example, shadow models that mimic an initial model, and we can run input-output requests and learn how to be resistant to structured requests. So these are examples of how we can make an AI more secure.
Thank you. And this is a question for Roberto. Roberto, what are the major initiatives of the European Union and the related actors in the field of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity?
It's thanks, Anna. I think that it's well, there are a lot of initiatives coming, on artificial intelligence. There is, of course, the new legislation, it is AI Act. So there is a lot of, also from the regulation point of view, aspect. There is, of course, for instance, there is an ESA that is working. There is a dedicated also ad hoc group that is looking about artificial intelligence that has also published some documents, technical reports about AI. In ECSO also, we are working on AI and cybersecurity by considering, the 3 dimensions that is cybersecurity for AI, AI for cybersecurity, and the 2 technologies how can work together. And then, of course, there are a lot of European projects. I mean, like Nizar, Marek, and Theodoros, they're all working, for different, European projects, proposing advances on AI and then cybersecurity. There is actually a new call that is out now from Horizon Europe that is about securing, AI systems. So that means that there is a need indeed to invest and to push also new solutions, linked to AI. If you look also at, there is the new center, the European Cybersecurity Competence Center, has published also in March the strategic agenda there is also interest, to look at AI technology, and then also what could be also linked with cybersecurity. So I think that in Europe, if you look at the European level, of course, then if you look at each one of the member states as also his own, like strategy and initiatives, linked to AI. There are some member states, that in the past also, for instance, France published also strategies linked to AI and so on. So I think that there is quite a lot going on. And what is important, it's a little bit, to converge with all the efforts and avoiding duplicating the effort, because what we are seeing, that there are different kind of communities that are converging. There is the machine learning community, and then also the cybersecurity communities, that are converging. So we need to facilitate, the dialogue, and then to really stimulate, close advances, towards to address, all the issues linked to the AI and application AI also for the industry and then for the society.
Thank you, Roberto. And just one last question. Do you have a vacation book to recommend? Does anyone knows a title related with this area?
I like it. I mean, like 21 lessons for the 21st century, from Harari, so that it touches a little bit, the technology, but also what could be the impact of the technology, also for the citizen. It's more like a reflection, rather than, that is something interesting. I found it interesting. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. I think we have come to the end of this session. Thank you to all the panelists for joining us today, and thank you to all our listeners who have asked questions, and there has been someone that has been very, very active. So thank you very much. If you like this format, please make sure to check out the playlist of past CLAIRE AQuAs on the CLAIRE YouTube channel. And thank you very much, and have a nice Friday evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.